Masinamkele kwakho kwinkqubo yethu i-VOB Voice of the Bay kungecawa emveni kwemini. Bethile ke nentsimbi yesine apho siyakhona siyapha kwintsimbi yesihlanu. Igama lam nguPercy M. Lamani. This afternoon I am hosting a number of guests. Dr. Jimmy Gotyana, who is the president of Sangoko. Another guest is Mr. Nqababhanga, who is a political activist, together with Mr. Mkhuseli Jack. We will be talking about a number of issues with Dr. Jimmy Gotyana. We will be talking about the trust deficit between government and the people of South Africa. With Mr. Nqababhanga and Mr. Mkhuseli Jack, we will be talking about the recent visit of former President Thabo Mbeki here in Nelson Mandela Bay. Let's first welcome Dr. Jimmy Gotyana. Dr. Jimmy Gotyana, as I have said, he's the president of Sangoko, a national convener of Alliance of NPO Network, ANET, which is an apex body or umbrella body of NPO sector in South Africa. He is also a facilitator of G20 Working Group on Poverty Alleviation and Food Sustainability. He is also sitting in NEDLAC meetings as an ex-core member. Dr. Jimmy Gotyana is also a national task team on Department of Social Development NPO review process. There are a number of organizations where Dr. Jimmy Gotyana is serving. Dr. Gotyana, welcome to VOB Voice of the Bay in this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome to you, Percy, and welcome to the listeners. Thank you.
Our main concern is the lack of trust deficit between people and the local, especially the local government, because there are three spheres of government. It's local, it's provincial, and national. But let's focus here on municipalities, because there are a number of service delivery protests that are taking place. Why there is so much trust deficit between people and the local government, that is the municipality?
Yeah, I think the context that we have to discuss this matter should be premised on the 30 years of democracy. Because I think this issue is not only coming up now, but for 30 years in our democratic order, we have seen, even the reports from the Auditor General, they clearly indicate that there's poor service delivery, failures which are happening in municipalities, which affect or which has eroded the trust of our people to the municipalities. So these are some of the issues that I think is affecting, closer collaboration between the citizens and people, to the extent that if things they don't go the way that people want, people will resort into service delivery, protest. There will be anarchy, there will be civil disobedience in our communities. The other issue is incompetent leadership that has been elected by political parties. Some of these leaders, they are not effective in ensuring that they communicate information, not even to attend to some of the issues. If a person, a resident, is experiencing some struggles, for example, on accounts, assistance to the poor, or any of those matters, you'll find that you won't get cooperation from the councillors. You go to the councillors, you don't find the councillor there, and then you go to the assistant will be waiting for the councillors, and then it will be a perpetual issue, which will make people to lose interest in how the municipalities run. The other issue, it affects voter apathy. Because people, when it comes to election, people, they're no longer interested to vote now. The issue of rampant corruption, mismanagement of funds, all these issues they affect the trust. And last but not least, the social distance between the politicians as well as ordinary people. That gap is still widening. It's not even some efforts to ensure that it's been narrowed, And these are some of the issues that has been picked up by the Auditor General. And if something is not done for the next 30 years, then I foresee some challenges that will confront the country. So political parties must ensure that they look into this matter, they redress, they appoint or select, capable and competent leaders, that will ensure that, they fulfill their mandate. Accountability is one of the issues. Well, some of these councillors, they don't account, a person cannot even hold meetings, public meetings, and it's within the, the act that, the councillors must ensure that they relay information to the ordinary people, to the citizen of that ward, whether it's a ward, whether it's a community, but that issue is affecting the trust of the people. That's why people have lost interest to the extent that when there's election, they rather stay at home, not to go to vote here.
Dr. Kotyana, each and every time where political parties will be contesting, they all present their election manifesto. Why, after the election, it's so difficult to keep their promises? Because they have promised people about all their needs in their manifestos. But why, after the elections, these parties are finding so difficult to perform their duties?
Yeah. One of the reasons is that they don't take people serious, They don't want to hear the voices of our people. When people complain, they address, they want somebody to address the issue. And politicians, they don't come to the party to the extent that people will resort into rampant protest, causing, civil disobedience in our communities. The other issue is accountability. You see, Percy, if we have learned from organization not to account, if somebody, because everyone has got, some way of doing things, some organization, they do have, let's say you're a ward councillor, you report to the branch, you report to the regional structure, you report to province. So if those structures, they don't look into that matter, it will defeat the whole purpose. So organization must instill discipline, must instill ethos of transparency, openness. People must learn to be open to the citizens.
Okay.
Hold public meetings, account, on all the progress happening. If there's any development taking place, ensure that you bring everybody together.
Before we go for a commercial break, in your observation, exactly where does this happen? Because these municipalities and other metros are no longer under African National Congress. Does it happen even to other municipalities that are not led by the ANC?
It's very rare that you'll find that from TA, for example. Because TA, I think they instill, values, how to govern. They ensure that you must provide reports. As if you're an appointed councillor, you must account. But where these issues are happening is within ANC councillors,
Let's leave it there. Yeah. Let's leave it there for now, Doc. We will go for a commercial break and continue with our discussion with Dr. Kotyana. Let's go for a commercial break. Back from the ad break, I am still with my guest, Dr. Jimmy Kotyana, who is the president of Sangoko. Dr. Kotyana, welcome. Doc, In your own view, what do you think should happen in this case where there is no accountability, where people are not getting what is due to them? Exactly what do you suggest, especially to the municipalities which are affected by all the concerns that you have or that you have mentioned earlier on?
Yeah. I think what should actually happen as a first point of departure, the local government sphere must ensure that they improve relationship with communities. It should start with the consolidation of the ward committees. Ward committees, they play a big role.
Do they play a big role?
They are supposed to play a big role.
Because I was about to ask, are they playing the role that we are talking
No,
about?
they're not doing that, to be exactly or to be precise. So that is why I'm saying the potential solution is to ensure is should be ensured by the municipalities that they bring in, community-based, what committees. Those are structures that are very, very important.
But they are not functional?
It's because of the selection process, how these people are identified. Because remember that these people must be citizen-driven, okay? And there must be others, they must be sectoral. You can't bring somebody in the ward committees who doesn't belong to sector, or you'll find somebody representing disability, people with disability, but is not disabled, or represent a non-profit organization, but is not running non-profit organization. So ensure that you duly elect people that represent that sector, so that the accountability mechanism, are looked at, from that point of angle. Yeah. So that's what should actually happen. Yeah.
Do you think within the political parties an issue of factions? Do you think factionalism play a negative part in the governance of that particular municipality, especially to that particular organization that is leading?
Yeah, according to evidence, because I think we must be evidence-based, according to the evidence at disposal by Auditor General and other Chapter 9 institution, it has been proven that one of the issues which hamper development at a local level is through factions. Okay, factional, cohorts. They will ensure that they bring in, those people that they can macromanage. They will ensure that they do things the way that they want. To some extent, they will do things which will be contrary to the act or contrary to the regulatory framework, which will defeat the whole purpose. So yes, factions, they do play a big role in destabilizing.
And the competition for position.
Position. And then you'll find that most of the factions, if they're dominant, they'll ensure that they'll put somebody in strategic position, your municipal manager, your supply chain, officials. These are critical positions that will dish out, projects or tenders, which will favor the particular dominant faction in the organization.
Okay.
So that is killing, that has killed the country for 30 years, and I don't think from now going forward, 31 years going forward, I don't think it's something that we should encourage it to happen again.
Doc, another scenario. Let's just make a difference. In 2016, the ANC lost power in many municipalities across the country in 2016. Let's compare the time of coalition governments in the municipality and before 2016. What is the situation? Is there any improvement post-2016 or during this time of coalition government? What exactly is happening compared to before 2016?
Yeah, I can say that for the past years that the city has been run by political parties, whether it's coalition, but I think from the days when ANC was in power, we've experienced instability. There was instability.
There was stability.
There was instability.
Okay.
Yeah,
When the ANC was rolling alone.
During the time of Nceba Faku, I think there was stability.
Yes.
You could see that there are moves to ensure that things must happen in a way that will ensure that the values are instilled, you know. But post Nceba Faku, we've experienced governance challenges. We've experienced instability. We experience a lot of challenges.
But I disagree with you. When the three municipalities were combined together in 2020, yes, there was stability during Nceba Faku, but there was a problem within the ruling party then by chopping and changing the mayors. The challenge was within the ANC itself. But what I want you to comment on is the difference post-2016, because 2016, it was the start of the coalition government. How things were before 2016 compared post-coalition government.
Yeah. During the time of the ANC, 2016, that started the reign of Nceba Faku. I think there was stability, as I was saying to you. And leading
early
up
2000.
early 2000.
Yeah.
But now, when coalition, took effect, there was also a great extent, of stability, so to speak. Because, for example, I'll talk on the side of the community development, the NGOs. So NGOs were benefiting. There was a granting aid within the mayor's office, Trollip, I think to some extent, was it Nceba Banga, as well as Retief Khosa, is it Retief? Yeah.
Retief Odendal.
Retief Odendal. So there was at least there was stability. Our members enjoyed the support that we given. But
so you prefer post 2016?
Yes, post 2016, yes.
Compared to
the current.
Okay.
To the current, I don't know what's happening.
Doc, when you talk of the current started because it's part of coalition government. Yeah. When I say 2016 to where we are, so we are talking about coalition government. But before 2016, from 2011 backwards, it was ANC alone in power.
Yes.
So how things were at that time?
I think after coalition, because remember it was DA and other parties, and then it was ANC now with I think is it EFF? Is it EFF?
Yes, EFF.
Yeah.
Yes, it's part of the current government.
Yeah. So I think the coalition arrangement, to some extent, it has brought relief. It's a mixed bag. Compared before 2016. Before 2016, yes. Yeah.
So you prefer the coalition government?
Yeah, that's what the citizens, the voters wanted. That's why the ANC was sitting at 48, and then DA was sitting at 48 with minority parties.
So in one way, Dr. Kotyana, are you saying it's better to be ruled by a coalition government by a single party?
I can say without any doubts that after local government election going forward, coalition will be the order of the day, okay. Because of what people want.
So, Doc, a single party cannot be trusted.
There will never be any standalone or organization that will.
So, are you saying, as South African, we are in a right direction now?
The GNU,
by allowing multi-party
system I think that will be something that will prevail for the next 10 to 15 years from now.
Dr. Jimmy Kotyana, who is the president of Sangoko, thank you very much, sir, for making time. Siyabulela kakhulu ngexesha lakho.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank
That was Dr. Jimmy Kotyana of Isangoko. Sizabaleka sengasevenkileni emveni kwevenkile samkele umhlekazi uNqababhanga kwakunye naye umhlekazi uKhusta Jack. Sibuyile kakhona sinamkela kwinkqubo yethu iVOB sitshilo kaloku kusemveni kwemini ngecawa apha ku-channel 260, that is your Mpuma Kapa TV. Kulo kusanda ngena ngalolu thuba siyakwamkela, kanti ngalolu thuba tamkela indwendwe zethu. Umhlekazi uKhusta Jack nguye okhokelayo kumbutho Abantu Integrity Movement. Ukwayiyo i-political activist apha kulo mmandla kaMandela, ekwanguye uceba okanye MMC wakwa Corporate Services kwalapha kumasipalato Mbaxa kaMandela. Kodwa ke kule inkqubo he has been invited on personal capacity, same as Mr. Nqababhanga. He is the member of the ANC. He is a former executive mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay. He came back from the ANC before last year's elections, renewing his membership as the ANC member, but we have invited him on his personal capacity because they were part of the political school which was held at Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, where former president of the African National Congress was invited by Veterans League of Nelson Mandela Bay. Welcome, Mr. Khusta Jack, and you, Mr. Bhanga.
Thank you.
In 2017, the ANC National Conference adopted a resolution to renew itself for survival, since they experienced a number of things within the political party and in government. I think the Veterans League of Nelson Mandela invited the former president based on that resolution of 2017, because they are also experiencing the same thing even now here in the region and in the province at large. As someone who was part of the political school, Mr. Jack, I was there. People were so excited when they see you, especially those who are members of the African National Congress. How did you feel?
I felt good because, I mean, these people, I'm always with them, actually all the time. I've never been isolated from the people, especially those that I struggled with at any given time. And also the leadership of the ANC at all levels has always been very respectful and courteous and also very good to me. Of course, they differed with me vehemently. And some of them even were angry that I left the ANC. But that's the reality of life, so you can't do anything about that. That's what it is. I was equally angry with them or with the ANC or with whatever at the time when I left the ANC. So fortunately for me, I've never been detached to them, and they have never detached themselves from me, no one that I know of. I mean, across the country, I will say, because of my nature of openness. I spoke my mind, and I say my things. Sometimes they are not 100% correct because they shouldn't be. They can't be. I'm a human being. So when I'm wrong, they will say so and so on. So it was, it's not unusual. But the school itself was a great opportunity for all of us, the generation that come from political education and political consciousness. Remember, for you to stay principled, to stick to values, you have to be hammered the consciousness through inculcation into your mind of the values, historical mission, the purpose. So it was to revive that in the minds of people. So who else could benefit from that other than me? I benefited a lot. And I think other people who were there also. It was just a memory lane to see how far we have gone and to measure even myself, where did I miss on the issue here? National Democratic Revolution. Where did I miss on the through the needle of the whatever land, needle of the Ntuntu? And many of the values that the ANC was brought up to us throughout those years, that thing was built into our minds for not for 1 year. If you look at it from '79, when COSAS was brought in, it was right through ANC Nansika. So it started about the true values which were undiluted and which everyone was striving to know. This is what we want to be, and we were competing to be the best to adhere to the values that.
So those values are still instilled in your mind.
Yes, that's what has driven me personally up to this point. But to get them being hammered back into my head, it made me to strengthen my resolve. Wow, we shouldn't betray our people. We should stick with them. We should continue to do what we do. If the ANC can do that tomorrow, I can tell you South Africa will be great. You can say anyone else who can do it, but it will be difficult for Abanye Abantu because they didn't go through the process of thinking through ezi zinto zifuneka ukwenziwa ziredi apha kwi-ANC. So to just bring them back now uzibethele ezinhlokweni zabantu, it will be easier to achieve the objective than any new group that wants to try and do them. Even if they know them, they will struggle because it will take time.
Yes. Mr. Ngababhanga, let's bring in you in this discussion. I understand that before 2024 national elections, you have decided to go back to the African National Congress after a long time. And yet, last week's platform, where there was even a former president of the African National Congress that you admire so much. I know your reasons for leaving the African National Congress. Goes back to the removal of former President Thabo Mbeki, but we are not there now. Firstly, Mr. Bhanga, last week's platform, I think it was your first platform in this region, at least to be with the leadership, branch members of the ANC, provincial leaders, including national leadership of the African National Congress. How did you feel, or how did you enjoy that moment with your comrades?
It was a very exciting moment because how it was structured very broadly, because the intention was to open it even to people who are not even card-carrying members of the ANC, but who can make a contribution in saying the ANC must be renewed. I mean, people I was with in the student movement, they were there. I mean, people I was with in the youth league, they were there. People who led us, like Oprah Costa, they were there. It was exciting. It was like an actual renewal of the African National Congress. As if something big is going to happen. And it was good for Nelson Mandela because Nelson Mandela carries close to 60% of the economy of the Eastern Cape. But if you look into the broader politics of the country and the province, we are nowhere to be found because we are we are everywhere, you know, and the people who led us are not in leadership. I always call it the break of generational leadership. The problem of PE, by the way, why you have this current problem you have, is that we knew that I'm not going to lead with Supra Costa. It's a different generation. Therefore, Lulu Johnson will lead and then will come after. No, okay. Then, when the ANC in 2005 broke what was called the Congress tradition, unfortunately there was no time, the Congress tradition. Congress tradition is not something written in document. It's a tradition that the ANC evolved to learn on how to behave, just behavior, how to lead the struggle for national liberation. And we grew up learning Cobra Costa, Kota Tukani, and everybody, where we were influenced by that kind of tradition. Now, that tradition was broken in 2007. And I always say, if you break a glass, you break a glass now, you try to bring it together, it's not going to be fixed. Therefore, it's difficult to fix something that has been broken. Now, it needed exactly the presentations that were made there, in which I want to mention a bit of few. The presentation on the National Democratic Revolution was a very important presentation, because it takes it back to say, what is the ANC exactly? Because what is the purpose of the existence of the African National, why it was formed? I usually say, meaning in the actual sense, the liberation of the black people in general, in particular the African majority. Cobra Costa, they led with so Molly Blackburn, they led with so Janet Cherry, to address this thing, that the ANC want to build. It's an ANC in its content that want to unify all South Africans, black and white, colored and Indian. And what is lacking in the ANC, the true character of non-racialism, is just disappearing.
Okay, let's leave it there for now. We will go for a commercial ad break, and then we will continue with our discussion around a recent political school which was held at Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. Let's go for a commercial ad break. Kuyileka khona evenkleni nditshilo kaloku ndathi sisegunya nazo iinkokheli ezichitha ixesha lazo elininzi iminyaka emininzi kumzabalazo wokukhulula ilizwe loMzantsi Afrika. Mr. Mkhuseli Jack kwakunye naye uNqaba Kabanga. Once again, welcome. One of the things that were mentioned, especially by President Thabo Mbeki in that political school, is the issue of Nelson Mandela Bay or region, ANC region, and Sarah Baartman, both regions of the ANC. There is a lot of factionalism that is taking place. As a result of that, there are a lot of delays in terms of conferences, dates are being postponed. There is a lot of infighting within. Even in other regions in this province, they are struggling. They are struggling to sit for their regional conferences. Infighting, factionalism. What is your suggestion or your view in this situation, Mr. Jack? You were listening to presentations by Mr. Tami Ntendeni and Mr. Percy I just forgot his name,
Mahlati.
Mahlati, Percy Mahlati. They spoke well. They have given a picture of what the plight of the ANC. So what do you suggest in this situation of factionalism, because it is killing the African National Congress?
Well, I would say the political landscape in South Africa is bedeviled by this kind of phenomenon across the board. And this emanates from the changes in what you could call, if it was something else, structural changes that came, that abandoned the patterns of that led to leadership in the past. You came through leadership through various methods. I think we spoke about this thing, DT, through the eye of the needle. That thing, it was premised on the leadership as we knew it going back before the 1994. And then after 1994, the whole ball game of rising to leadership changed. The various traits of leadership that were a sine qua non in the a requirement in the past are not applying. New ones came, which were to fit into the professional politics. That means politics of money or resources. Now, that game got its own rules. And then, unfortunately, due to the lack of resources across the board for people, we couldn't manage that situation. Yaba nguvula zibhuqe, abantu bangena nje, yaba yinto apho kunzima khona ke ngokuba ungakwazi usefa abantu. Nokuthi umuntu bangabe uphosiwe apha, umuntu ayazi ba he could just go on as a developer yena nefamily yakhe without uba makulwa nabantu ayothini ucabe ngoku if bangaba uzungena this time, this is the last shot for you. So that kind of thing is big because and it will go on for as long as the economy shrinks, it gets smaller. It's going to be worse and worse and worse and worse. The only way to unlock that in the economy must grow and it must be thrown open. And if the economy is thrown open, umuntu uzazithi no ndingathengisa amaqanda must ifumana imali. But now because abantu abanayo imali yothenga amaqanda, that's what stopped you from doing that. You can stand there amaqanda akho adabole, then you end up frustrated and so you can't go forward because there's no cash circulating and getting into the system. Ekhoyo ngoku iyayicutheka, and then that is why ke ngokungena ke ngoku unsavory characters into the struggle, and they're going to make it worse. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's not an ANC only thing. But of course, because the ANC now is a dominant political party that controls the resources, onke ngoku izinyoli namasela zizayongena phaya and zizawuba ninzi there because that is where the food is, that's where the money is. But what they don't know is that, unfortunately, they can go and club there, but only few. It becomes the rule of the jungle, the survival of the fittest. Abazawukwazi survive in that kind of situation. So this political school tries to bring back in the urban, first of all, we need to get this out of the way. And then we build ourselves through the values that have taken us over the years since we were formed. ANC was formed in 1912. And then the next thing is to spread the economy. And there's no excuse that the economy shouldn't grow because this economy grew under the ANC at 6%, brother, up to 2007, 2008, 6%. I don't care what you say, but you growth here and doing. The fact of the matter, now you don't even have the growth of Ifunai. What you have is a negative growth. What does negative growth mean? Is the kind of carnage that you see, the killings, the rapes, it's because the economy is, and it will just get worse and worse. That is why it's crucial, no matter what we feel about what has happened to us, what our dreams were shattered, but if there's a light of hope, if the ANC is the fastest vehicle, in my opinion, if Bangabe can get its house in order. But there will be somebody who will get it ultimately, if by Jens Londo, like, that is why it's crucial that they must move quickly and renew themselves and get themselves on track and get the economy going. And then we will go to the South Africa that we fought for.
Your take, Mr. Bank? Look, issue of factional battles within the ANC.
Look, liberation movement in their own way. Just liberation movement, you know. It's not permanent that bazophatha kubuyesu. You know, it's people that sisasiva bazophatha society. Everything is in a stage of flux. The beginning and an end.
It's a principle of life.
Yeah. Now, in China, what Tutatundini was trying to mention, they faced a similar problem that the ANC was faced with. Factionalism, the decline of the Communist Party in China. In China, what they did, because the Kwich land, they had to go and look for people with ideas. Whereas in China, our kokelu qualification, kokelu. And I was yearly pa they selectively select people who are going to make a contribution. That's why the economy is growing there. Because if you want to grow an economy, as Prakusta is saying, you must understand how to grow the economy. You can't have an Eastern Cape that its official unemployment rate is at 33.3%. You expanded unemployment is at 46%. Man, we've given up in looking for jobs. You understand? 1 in 3 people, 1 in 3, they're unemployed. But there's no solution into that. Goodyear is leaving us, and some businesses are leaving us. Now you need people who can generate ideas in order for you to be able to transform society. Funeka yazi lo muntu into athetha ngayo. Ungakhokhelwa under 14. Under 14, that's the problem, because akanayo capacity to be able to transform and rebuild society. I'm going to give you another country. Up in Nicaragua, Sandinista yabethu Sandinista. The Sandinista had the same problems that the ANC today is confronted with. Andrew Otek, Babanjo Maria, Balua, and so on. The communities realized, but we're killing an instrument that we built for national liberation. Asikafiki pa, lendita dombra coast, asikafiki to liberate our people. Because if you can see the gap between the rich and the poor, black people continue to be poor, white people, it's widening at that. Upper Kenya, Uzam Ikan movement. There's a book by Tomboy, by 1961, explaining the same problems ANC face from the youth. Because what they do when you want to patronize people, you patronize the youth, you patronize women, and all that. Those who have money, they buy those people.
Okay.
But 2004, the 2004, 2004, somebody in the ANC was assigned by ZANU-PF to write and analyze the problem of ZANU-PF. If abantu be-ANC baserious, ingxaki abafundi abantu bethu. Yabo? Because history, the laboratory of history, the laboratory of politics is history. You must understand when for you to find solutions. Therefore, all the problems we have in the ANC is the corner up. Okay. If factionalism, you destroy it. You destroy it by being decisive. And make an inclusive organization. Open up even to those, that you are scared of. Because factionalists, the only thing they exist about, it's about It's not about building an organization. That's what builds factionalism.
Let's leave it there for now. We will go again for another commercial ad break. Masibaleke kwaKhosi ngasevenkile. Wilo ngakhona sinamkela kwinkqubo yethu iVOB Voice of the Bay. I am still with my guest, Mr. Mkhuseli Jack and Mr. Nqaba Bhanga. Guys, we've got only 6 minutes before we wrap it up. Let's look at the structures of the ANC. I think Mr. Humphrey Maxegwana has mentioned that ANC structures are so weak. Maybe it is caused by the people who are leading in those structures. Do you agree with Mr. Maxegwana on that? Maybe there is a lack of capacity.
What they did a lot, which I'm not getting into now, I don't have time to talk about it, was to show what they call the quality of leadership. And they said that the quality of leadership is a function of the quantity of leadership they have. And therefore, the point that they were saying, pointing out, is that the lack of minimum standards makes it the barrier of entry to be very easy. And it is my assessment across the board, not only for the ANC, but all the parties going forward, they are going to be strongly infiltrated by criminal elements this time around. The criminals who are proper now, not the criminals but I'm talking well-cooked criminals now. They have seen the formula of getting in. They can see they are role models inside the government, and therefore you're going to get a flood of them. So the probability of the quality of leadership weaken is strong. And therefore, it is important that what they are talking about to have even lesser people. And this example here, China, a lot of people don't understand that China was in a far worse condition than we are, a Communist Party as a China, leading up to the time when it made its actual renewal. Around about 1976, when Deng and others started really to cook up and turn China to be what it is. They predicted at the time when they were doing this thing other people are doing, of saying, let's talk about renewal. What will it do? It will give us growth. The growth will figure in what stages. And then by that, and then really, they said that by let's say about 5 years or 10 years ago, China will be a global power. China ingabe a global power. Cha ibethwe America ngenxa yela fracking eyenzeke eAmerica. But the leaders, as is China's revolution, which were lost in the forest because as infiltrated by all manner of unsavory malcontents and detractors, they pull themselves up. That's what is called upon. And then you will have lesser people. By the way, ANC is not being voted by members. It will never have members who can vote it into power. It will have South Africans who can vote it into power, or any party. And therefore, you need to have then the quality of leadership at the branch level that will be sold and be attractive to the people, not the artificial leadership that you got, and then it will come back and is that value to pick them up and take them to where they ought to be.
Just before I go to Mr. Bhanga, is there anything that will attract you to go back to the African National Congress so far?
No, it's because you see, so far that it has been a talk, as you know, that since 2017. Remember, personally, when I left the ANC in 2007, 2008, because of basically, immediately when President Zuma was elected, I felt that I won't be a member of the ANC. But even so, with President Zuma, had President Zuma proved me wrong, I would have run back to the ANC and I would have gone to him and tell him, Mr. President, I'm coming back. And I have told him so many times that I will come back. But unfortunately, up to now, there hasn't been any tangible reason other than the attempt that I see now. If they can start to throw this whole thing of renewal, it will change the trajectory. It will help, that thing will work consciously. Lando kuthiwa conscientize abantu works a lot. They need to hammer it. People will turn just like that.
In 1 minute, Mr. Banga, we are running out of time. What are your last words?
I think it's exactly what some of the things that Prakusta is saying. The ANC is in a ICU. It's either it's going to die or it's going to take a surgery to look internally and fix itself. The polling is very clear. The polling is saying ANC will be below 28, and many people didn't believe that ANC will be around 40. Even when I was still in the DA, they didn't believe that it was not going to win. And the numbers are very important. Now, the ANC needs its own people, you know? Like abantu bafana no Prakusta, even the youth that is available, new generation, the new and the old, but you need abantu xa uya kwatata umuntu ozoba ne-credibility, you know.
Okay.
Therefore, the leadership, the limitation of the ANC is that we do not have the new and the old, where we blend, where when we go to people, abantu get excited. I
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngaba Banga, and you, Mr. Kusta Jack. That is how we come to an end of our show for this afternoon. Ngosini kakhulu kuni nonke nje kwindawo enihleli ni phulaphule nibukele nikuzo. Inkqubo yethu ifikelele esiphelweni. Happy Sunday till we meet again next time. Adios amigos. God bless.